You ever have one of those moments where a single sentence hits you so hard it flips your whole life upside down? Yeah, I had that moment on a random Tuesday morning, sitting in this stiff black leather chair inside a downtown Chicago bank. I remember holding a folder stuffed with numbers, receipts, and transfer papers, basically 4 decades of my life squeezed into dead pieces of paper. 40 years. 40 years of working double shifts, clipping coupons, taking side jobs, saying maybe next month every time I wanted to buy something for myself. And now every bit of it was sitting on a desk as I got ready to sign off on a $450,000 transfer. My life savings. Everything I had built since I was 21. My name's Ann Miller, 61 years old. And up until that morning, I honestly believed motherhood meant giving till you were empty, even when your kid stepped all over you like a doormat. I thought love, especially a mother's love, guaranteed appreciation, loyalty, basic respect. Turns out, that's fairy tale thinking. My phone buzzed. I saw my son's name, Daniel, pop up on the screen. I raised him alone after my husband passed when Daniel was 9, so every time he called, I felt it in my chest first. Not fear, more like hope, the kind you keep around even when it lets you down. But since he married Emily, things had gotten weird. Conversations got shorter, visits got rarer, and I slowly became mom who makes things awkward. You know the type, only remembered when it's time to pay a bill. I opened the message. Mom, about Emily's birthday dinner tomorrow, please don't come. Emily doesn't feel comfortable when you're around. It's better if you skip it. I read it once, twice, then a third time, but the words stayed ugly no matter how many times I blinked. And here's the messed up part. While I was reading that little punch to the heart text, I was literally about to sign papers transferring almost $500,000 so Daniel and Emily could buy their fancy dream condo in Northridge, their new life, their shiny future. Meanwhile, I wasn't welcome at a birthday dinner. The irony was so loud, it practically slapped me. Mrs. Miller, are you okay? Gerald asked. Honestly, no, I wasn't. Something inside me cracked. Not in a breaking way, but in a finally opening its eyes kind of way. Like I had been walking around with foggy glasses for years, and someone finally wiped them clean. Can I make a phone call? I asked, stepping away from the desk. When Daniel picked up, his voice was casual, like he was reminding me to buy milk. Hey, Mom, you got my text, right? I swallowed the burn in my throat. I did, just wanted to make sure I understood it. Oh, come on, don't be dramatic, he said. Emily's stressed. Big deal tomorrow, important people. She just wants everything perfect. Translation, I wasn't polished enough to match their crowd. Perfect meaning a dinner without me? I said quietly. He sighed like I was the problem. Mom, you just don't fit their life file. There it was, the word. Status. I walked back to Gerald's desk, sat down, steadied myself, and said the 5 words that would change everything. Cancel the transfer, right now. That was the moment things shifted. That was the moment I stopped being a doormat. But trust me, canceling that transfer was just the warm-up. I had no idea that buried underneath that simple choice was a secret that would blow my world wide open and change everything I thought I knew about my son.
Walking out of that bank felt like stepping out of someone else's life. For decades, I'd been the sure, no problem mom. The one who cleaned up messes, wrote checks, showed up even when nobody wanted her there. But canceling that transfer? That was the first time in years I chose me. I sat in my car for a minute with the engine off, both hands gripping the steering wheel. My fingers were shaking a little, not from regret, but from this strange awakening. Like some part of me that had been asleep forever suddenly snapped awake and stretched its legs. I took a deep breath and texted Daniel. "It's all right, son. Have a good dinner." Short, simple, calm. No paragraphs, no guilt, no maybe next time. For the first time in his life, he got silent instead of soft excuses. Driving home, I replayed everything. All the little signs I had ignored. Times Emily corrected me in front of strangers. The fake, polite smile she wore like a badge. The way Daniel quietly let his wife run our relationship like it was some business merger she could restructure. The memories hit me like old receipts I suddenly understood were proof of something bigger. The Christmas I spent 2 days cooking a whole homemade feast only for Emily to open the door and say, "Oh, awkward, we already ordered catering." The time Daniel introduced me to his coworker and said, "This is my mom. She runs a cute little craft shop." Not a teacher who raised me alone and put herself last for decades. Just small shop. Like my whole life's work was a hobby he let me play with. Tiny cuts, one after another, that I kept pretending didn't sting. By the time I pulled into my driveway, the anger had settled into something quieter. Not rage, but clarity. I wasn't losing my son that day. I'd already been losing him for years. I just finally noticed. I walked inside, hung my bag on the hook, and sat on the porch, the same porch where John used to read the newspaper every Sunday morning. A wave of memories washed over me. John's laugh, his calm voice, his gentle warnings I never listened to. And don't let people mistake your kindness for weakness, honey. There's a lie. Don't let anyone drag you over it. I used to brush him off. Thought loving people meant letting them walk all over you if it kept them happy. Turns out, love with no boundaries isn't love. It's self-erasure. The porch was quiet, warm from the afternoon sun. For the first time in years, I let myself sit still. No chores, no rushing, no emotional triage for other people's feelings. Then my phone rang. Daniel. Of course. He didn't even bother with small talk. Just jumped straight into panic mode. "Mom, there is a sneak company called. They said the transfer was canceled. Guess must have been a mistake, right?" Not a mistake. Silence. Thick, heavy silence. "Why did you do that?" he asked, sounding genuinely confused, which told me everything I needed to know. He wasn't sad about hurting me. He was mad his plan got derailed. "I changed my mind," I said simply. "That's ridiculous. We already planned everything. The apartment, the furniture." "Your plans, Daniel," I cut in. He exhaled hard like I was being dramatic. "Daniel, I told you you weren't Emily's birthday dinner. Do you really think I buy you a home when I'm not good enough for a meal?" Another long silence. This one felt different. Like he knew exactly what he'd done, and for the first time ever, he had no backup excuse. But what neither of us knew was that my decision, that one simple cancel the transfer moment, had triggered something way bigger than hurt feelings. It triggered an audit. And that audit was about to open a door I didn't even know existed. One that would reveal an even deeper betrayal. Because the very next week, I got a phone call from the bank that didn't just shock me, but shattered everything I thought I knew about my son.
The call came on a random Monday morning, the kind of morning where nothing feels dramatic. I was sweeping the front of my craft shop, golden hands, just minding my business. Birds chirping, sun out, my coffee still hot. Then my phone buzzed with the bank's number. I figured it was Gerald calling to follow up about canceling the condo transfer. Maybe a form to sign or some fee they forgot to mention. Nothing serious. But the second I heard his voice, tight, careful, way too formal, my stomach dropped. Mrs. Miller, I need you to come to the bank today. It's delicate. I can't explain over the phone. Delicate? That's bank speak for brace yourself. I shut the shop early and drove straight there. The whole way, my brain was flipping through possibilities like a file cabinet on fire. Did I mess up paperwork? Did they reinstate the transfer by accident? Did the seller complain? Did Daniel try something? Turns out, I was thinking way too small. When I arrived, they didn't take me to Gerald's regular desk. Instead, I got escorted into one of those glass conference rooms that scream bad news incoming. Gerald was already there along with a woman in a gray suit who introduced herself as Mariana from internal auditing. That word, auditing, hit me like cold water. I sat down and Mariana slid a folder toward me like it was a hostage negotiation. Miss Miller, after the cancellation of your $450,000 transfer, our system flagged your account for a routine review. During that review, we noticed something unusual. Unusual, another bank speak word. That means prepare to cry. She opened the folder and started showing me copies of withdrawal slips. Each one had my name, my account number, my signature. Except it wasn't my signature. Not exactly. Close enough to fool someone glancing, but wrong enough to make my skin crawl. We found monthly withdrawals averaging around $2,000, Mariana explained, over the last 5 years. My jaw locked tight. I never withdraw anything, I said, sharper than I intended. We know, Gerald said softly. The handwriting analyst confirmed these signatures are forged. I stared at page after page of documents pretending to be me, and then Mariana's delivered the hit that knocked the wind out of me. The money was transferred to a business account under the name Preston Architecture and Design. A Rose. Preston. That was Emily's maiden name. Emily? Miss, your mom makes people uncomfortable. Miss, some people don't belong in upscale places. Miss, we already ordered catering. Yeah, her. They kept talking, but my ears was buzzing. Do you know who would have access to your banking information? Has anyone helped you with bank visits? Does your son have permission to handle your accounts? Permission? No. Access? More than he ever should have. Daniel had been coming with me to the bank since he was a teenager. He'd seen me fill out withdrawal slips. He knew how I signed things. He'd once held my checkbook while I drove us home from groceries. This totals around $120,000. My money, my work, my life, drained slowly like someone milking me drop by drop while smiling in my face. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Gerald leaned forward. By law, we must report this to authorities unless you want a short grace period to decide how to handle this. He gave me 48 hours. I walked out of that bank on legs that barely worked. Sad my client didn't even start the engine. I just stood up to one channel while betrayal settled over me like wet cement. My son didn't just disrespect me. He robbed me for 5 years, quietly, steadily, confident that I'd never notice, confident that I'd always be the mom who said it's okay. But he didn't know the woman he just unlocks, the version of me who would not sit down and cry this time,
the version who was about to end this game once and for all. Because the moment I realized Daniel had stolen from me, something inside me shifted. And what I decided to do next wasn't forgiveness, wasn't revenge. It was something far more calculated.
I didn't go home straight away. I couldn't. My house suddenly felt like a crime scene. Like every corner held evidence of how blind I'd been. So instead, I drove to the only place that ever cleared my head, Lake Merrill. It's this quiet spot outside the city where John and I used to take Daniel for picnics when he was little. Back then, Daniel used to run around collecting rocks and calling them dragon treasures. I'd patch up his scraped knees and John would lift him onto his shoulder saying, "Someday you'll be too tough when this get old." Funny, isn't it? You raise a child with love and somehow they still find a way to grow in the wrong direction. I parked the car, climbed out, and sat on the wooden bench facing the water. The lake was calm, still as a painting. And for the first time since the bank meeting, I let myself feel the full weight of what happened. My son stole from me, my own flesh and blood. Not in a moment of desperation, not because he was hungry or in danger, but slowly, like a parasite, pretending to be a part of me. It wasn't the money. God knows I've lived broke before and survived. It was the betrayal. The sneaky, quiet time that digs deep and leaves you doubting every memory you ever cherished. My phone buzzed in my lap. Daniel again. I ignored it. He called 5 times in a row. Then Emily called, then Daniel again. Finally, my phone lit up with a long text from him. "Mom, why aren't you answering? We need to talk. It's important." Important? Yeah, I bet it was. I turned off the phone completely. Let him sweat. After a while, when the wind picked up and the lake started moving like silver threads, I finally stood and took a little walk along the shore. That's where my mind shifted from shock to strategy. I had exactly 48 hours, 2 days to decide how this ends. Option 1, report everything. Press charges. Let Daniel and Emily answer to the law. Option 2, confront them myself, demand the money back, and walk away from their lives forever. Option 3, do nothing, pretend I didn't know, and go back to being the doormat. I laughed at that last one. That version of me was dead and buried. But pressing charges would send my own son to jail, and I won't lie, something inside me still flinched at the idea. Not out of fear for him, but for the memory of the little boy he used to be. The one who brought me dandelions and said, "For you, Mommy." Where did that child go? Did I lose him? Or did he choose to walk away? As I stood by the water, the truth hit me. I didn't need revenge. I needed closure. I need him to look me in the eye and explain why. So I turned my phone back on and sent one message. The only one he deserved from me. Come to my house tomorrow at 6 p.m. Alone. I didn't add anything else. No, we need to talk. No, I'm hurt. No, I know what you did. Let him wonder. Let him panic. Let him try to guess how much I knew. I drove home slowly, made myself a cup of tea, and sat at the kitchen table with a blank notebook.
prepare my questions, my plan, my boundaries. For the first time in years, I felt powerful. Not loud, not angry, just solid. A woman with nothing left to lose is the strongest creature on earth. And tomorrow at 6 p.m., my son was going to meet that woman. Then little did I know, I wasn't the only one preparing for that meeting. Daniel was planning something too, something I never saw coming. And it turned our confrontation into a completely different kind of battle.
The next day moved like thick syrup, slow, heavy, and loaded with the kind of tension you can't shake off. I woke up earlier than usual, not because I slept well, but because my mind wouldn't shut up. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those forged signatures, fake loops, the cheap imitation of my name. My son's betrayal had fingerprints. I made myself coffee, but barely drank it. I cleaned the house for no reason. Rearranged cushions, wiped counters, folded towels, unfolded them, then folded them again. Nerves do weird things to a person. By 4 p.m., the house was spotless and the quiet felt like it was pressing against my ears. I finally sat down at the kitchen table with my notebook, the one I started last night. Every question I wanted to ask Daniel was written neatly on the lined pages. Why did you take from me? Did Emily tell you to? Do you even know how much you stole? Do you feel anything about it? And the hardest one? When did I stop being your mother and become your wallet? Every time I rehearsed what I was going to say, I felt my throat tightened. But I wasn't going to cry, not this time. My tears had paid enough rent in that boy's life. Around 5:30 p.m., something strange happened. I got this uneasy feeling, like someone had walked over my grave. You know that instinct? The one that whispers, "Hey, something's off." So I checked my phone. 2 missed calls from my neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, the old lady who sees everything that happens on our street. I called her back. "Oh, Ann, honey," she began whispering like I was hiding from the FBI. "Your boy was here about an hour ago." "What? Daniel was at my house?" "Yes," she whispered again. "Why do older folks whisper when they still gossip? He walked around your porch a few times, peeked through the window, then left. Didn't knock, didn't say anything." My heartbeat thumped in my neck. He was here, early, checking something, looking for what? Evidence? Paperwork? My reaction? Was he trying to prepare for the confrontation? Or worse, to get ahead of it? Mrs. Jenkins kept growing. "He looked nervous, dear, like real nervous, and he wasn't alone. That wife of his was sitting in the car tapping her nails like a woodpecker on caffeine. Emily, of course. So much for come alone. Whatever plan they had, they were clearly cooking it together." "Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins," I told her, trying to sound calm, but inside, something shifted, a mix of dread and fire. He wasn't coming to apologize. He was coming to defend the very thing he did to me. But nothing, absolutely nothing could have prepared me for the first sentence that came out of his mouth. A sentence so cold, so rehearsed, so calculated. It made me realize my son wasn't just guilty. He was dangerous.
Daniel stepped into the living room like he owned the place, not like a son visiting his mother, but like a man walking into a negotiation he planned to win. His eyes didn't wander around the house, didn't soften at the sight of old family photos. No flicker of guilt, no memory stirring, just cold focus. That's how I knew he'd rehearsed something. "Mom," he started, shoulders squared, voice low. "Let's skip the drama and get straight to it. We know you talked to the bank." We. Again. Emily was still sitting in the car, but I could practically feel her presence through the window. Eyes locked on us, like she was monitoring a hostage situation. I folded my arms, and what? Daniel inhaled sharply like he was gathering courage, but it wasn't the kind of courage that comes from honesty. It was the kind that comes from arrogance. "We want you to put the transfer back, all of it, today." I blanked. Not, "Let me explain." Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "Mom, this is a misunderstanding." Nope, straight to the money. "Put the transfer back," I repeated slowly, making sure I heard right. "After everything I learned?" Daniel's jaw twitched. Barely, but enough for me to see the truth. He wasn't shocked I knew. He was shocked I said it so boldly. "Mom," he said again, voice low and urgent, "this isn't the time to blow things up. Emily and I are under a lot of pressure right now. We already made commitments for the condo. Payments, contracts. We can't back out." Ah, there it was. He didn't care about the law. He didn't care about me. He cared about his shiny condo. "So you decided to steal from me for 5 years?" I asked quietly. Daniel's lips tightened. "I didn't steal. I borrowed." "Daniel," I said, a sad smile tugging out my mouth, "borrowing requires permission." He looked away for half a second, just long enough to confirm everything, and then he did the one thing that made my stomach twist in disgust. He laughed. Not loudly, not mockingly, but in that older person is being over-emotional kind of way. "Mom, come on, you don't even spend your money, it just sits there. I figured you'd never notice." He didn't deny it. He didn't even blink. Then he dropped the bomb he must have practiced in the mirror. "If you report this on," he said softly, "Emily and I will be ruined. My career will tank. Her business will collapse. Everything we've built, gone." I stared at him, really stared, and somewhere inside me a door clicked shut. He wasn't here for reconciliation. He wasn't even here for negotiation. He was here to manipulate me, the same way he'd done for years without me realizing it. "Mom," he said again, voice dropping even lower, "I'm telling you this because I care. You're overthinking everything. Nobody needs to get hurt. Just redo the transfer and we can forget all of this." Forget? He wanted me to forget being robbed for years? Forget my trust being shattered? Forget he forged my name, my identity, like it was scrap paper. "You know," I said slowly, "when you were little, you used to hold my hand so tight. I thought you were afraid I'd disappear." His eyes flickered. A crack. A tiny one. But it was there. "And now," I continued, "you look me in the face and pretend like betrayal is just an inconvenience?" Daniel swallowed. "Please, don't make this harder." "Harder," I repeated softly.
That's when I saw movement. The car door opening. Emily stepping out, heels clicking on the driveway, strutting up the path like she was walking into a board meeting. Of course she couldn't stay out of it. She pushed the door open wider without even knocking. "Annin," she said sharply, "let's talk like adults." Her tone wasn't adult. It was threatening, and suddenly I understood why Daniel was so bold. He wasn't the mastermind. She was. But right as Emily opened her mouth to launch into her speech, something happened that none of us expected. Something that flipped the entire power dynamic in the room and exposed the truth in a way that hit harder than any confession.
Emily stepped into my living room like she'd bought the deed and was just checking on her property. Sharp heels, sharp jawline, sharp attitude, the whole package. She didn't even look around. She didn't have to. She had already decided that she owned the space. "Anne," she said, folding her arms, "let's not drag this out. We all know why we are here." I raised an eyebrow. "Funny, because I don't recall inviting you." She smirked. "Daniel and I are a team. Where he goes, I go." Yeah, a team. More like a parasite and its host. Daniel shifted uncomfortably beside her, but Emily shot him a look that basically said, "Shut up and let me handle this." And he did, instantly. Watching it happen made me sick. It was like seeing my son being remote controlled by someone who didn't even respect him. Emily cleared her throat dramatically and began. "So, we're aware you spoke to the bank, and we're aware you're upset." She said upset like she was diagnosing a toddler's tantrum. I stayed quiet. Sometimes silence is the loudest weapon. Emily continued. "You need to understand something, Anne. That money wasn't going to waste. We were using it for investments, things that would have benefited all of us eventually." All of us? I almost laughed. What benefit was I getting from funding their luxury lifestyle? My benefit was being uninvited from birthday dinners. "So you admit you took it?" She lifted her chin. "We didn't take anything. We've moved funds around for future family growth. You're retired. You don't need it." Ah, yes, the modern translation of "your money belongs to us." I stared at her, letting my disappointment wash over both of them. "You forged my signature." "It wasn't forging," she snapped. "It was copying for convenience." Daniel flinched slightly. Not because of guilt, but because Emily used that tone she usually reserved for waiters who got drink orders wrong. But then, right when she opened her mouth again, something happened none of us expected. Someone knocked on the front door. 3 sharp, firm knocks. All 3 of us froze. Daniel's voice cracked. Are you expecting someone?" "No," I said. Emily's eyes narrowed. "Did you tell the bank to come here?" "No." Another 3 knocks, louder this time. Whoever it was, they weren't going away. I walked to the door, heart steady, mind alert. Something in my bones told me this wasn't a neighbor or a delivery. This knock carried weight. I opened it, and my breath caught in my throat.
standing on my porch with a woman and a navy blazer holding a badge. Real bad, not movie prop. Real government shiny badge. Mrs. Ann Miller? She asked. My mouth was dry. Yes? I'm Agent Reynolds with the Financial Crimes Unit. Behind me, I heard Emily's inhale turn into a choking sound. Daniel's footsteps shuffled backward like he was trying to melt into the furniture. Agent Reynolds continued. We need to speak about this suspicious activity on your account. We attempted to reach you earlier today, but your phone was off. I stepped aside numbly. Come in. She entered, professional and calm, scanning the room with trained eyes. Daniel looked like he'd seen a ghost. Emily looked like she was one. Agent Reynolds continued. We also need to interview any household members or individuals who have had access to your financial document. She glanced straight at Daniel, then at Emily, then back at me. Are these individuals connected to your accounts? Daniel opened his mouth, but no sound came out. I didn't hesitate. I didn't blink. I pointed at both of them. Yes, I said. They've had access, and I have reason to believe they have been stealing from me. Daniel's knees visibly buckled. Emily's face went white, paper white. Agent Reynolds nodded once, calm as a frozen lake. Then we'll start with them. But what Agent Reynolds asked next didn't just shake Daniel. It exposed a secret even I didn't know existed. One that changed the entire direction of the investigation. And the course of our family forever.
Agent Reynolds didn't waste time. She opened her folder, clicked her pen, and looked straight at Daniel with the kind of expression that could peel paint off walls. Mr. Miller, she said calmly, before we proceed, I need to ask you a standard question. Are you aware of any additional accounts, assets, or financial instruments connected to your mother's name that you've accessed, directly or indirectly? Daniel blinked fast. Additional? What do you mean additional? I didn't do anything illegal. Emily elbowed him so hard he jerked forward. Stop talking, she hissed. But Agent Reynolds ignored her little power plays. Instead, she slid a document across my coffee table, a printed list of transactions, multiple pages, multiple accounts. Except I didn't recognize half of them. This, the agent said quietly, is why we're here. These accounts were opened using your identification, Mrs. Miller. My heartbeat stuttered. Identification? What identification? I leaned in, confused, nervous, suddenly cold. The accounts weren't even at my usual bank. They were scattered across different institutions, opened over the last 3 years. Emily's face twisted. She knew something. Daniel looked like he was about to vomit. I swallowed hard. I never opened these. Agent Reynolds nodded. We assumed as much. The handwriting and digital signatures appear consistent with a single forger, and based on login data, one of these accounts was accessed from an address in North Ridge. Emily and Daniel's condo neighborhood. Oh, God. My blood went from warm to boiling in 2 seconds. Emily stepped forward, voice trembling, but still cold. This is clearly some kind of mistake. The agent raised one eyebrow. Classic, don't try me energy. Ma'am, she said, looking straight at Emily. Were you ever authorized to open accounts under Ann Miller's identity? Of course not. Then why does your name appear as the secondary contact on 2 of these accounts? Silence. Thick, heavy, deadly. Daniel looked at Emily like he'd just seen her holding a knife. Emily's eyes widened, not in confusion, but in fear. Real fear. The type you feel when the house of lies you've been building finally collapses. How would I know? This is obviously some, bank glitch. Bank glitch not create forged driver's licenses. My breath caught in my throat. Forged licenses? I whispered. She nodded. We found a fake ID with your name and your photo replaced. It was used to open the first account, and the initial deposit was traced back to an account belonging to Daniel Miller. Daniel slapped his hand over his mouth. Shock, guilt, panic, all mixed into a messy meltdown. I didn't know. Emily she said it was an investment thing for the future. I didn't know it was illegal. Emily spun around to him, eyes blazing. Don't put this on me. You signed half the paperwork. Daniel shook his head violently. I thought it was legit. You told me your cousin worked in the bank. You said it was a tax thing. Enough! Agent Reynolds' voice cracked through the room like lightning. Both of them fell silent instantly. I just stood there, hands trembling, rage and heartbreak swirling inside me like a storm with no center. Agent Reynolds turned to me gently. Mrs. Miller, there's one more thing you should know. The room froze. My breath hitched. She pulled out one last paper, smaller, folded, and handed it to me. I opened it with shaky fingers. It was a loan application. A massive one. Approved under my name. Signed by me. Except the signature wasn't mine. And below it, 2 co-signers, Daniel Miller and Emily Preston Miller. My knees nearly buckled. A loan I never applied for. A debt I never knew existed. And worst of all, it had already been used. Agent Reynolds spoke again, her voice low and steady. This loan wasn't for a condo. She pointed to the purchase description. It was used to invest in a private business, one registered under Emily's name. The world tilted. They didn't just steal from me. They tried to tie me to their debt, their business, their future, their mess. Daniel looked sick. Emily looked furious, not at the crime, but at getting caught. And I felt something inside me harden into stone. But before I could react, Agent Reynolds asked a question that cut through the room like a blade. A question that reveals the darkest truth of all. When neither Daniel or Emily ever wanted me to hear.
Agent Reynolds set her folder down and looked between Daniel and Emily with the kind of stare that strips people down to their bones. Controlled, cold, surgical. Before we proceed, she said quietly, I need to know one thing, and I want the truth, not the version you two rehearsed.
Daniel's Adam's apple bobbed hard. Emily crossed her arms, jaw clenched so tight her teeth probably hurt. Then the agent dropped the question. Did either of you use Anne's identity to secure the second loan? The second loan? My stomach twisted. Daniel's eyes widened, like that was the first he'd heard of it. Emily didn't move an inch. Agent Reynolds watched both of them, then turned to me. Mrs. Miller, there are 2 loans under your name, Mrs. Millen. The one you just saw and another one even larger. It felt like the floor beneath me cracked open. I whispered, How large? The agent hesitated, not out of confusion, but sensitivity. $480,000. My knees almost gave out. Nearly $500,000 in my name without my knowledge. Emily's face went pale, the kind of pale that says, oh God, they found it. Daniel staggered back like he'd been pushed. Emily? What is she talking about? Emily finally spoke, voice shaking, but her tone still trying to hold authority. That second one was supposed to be under her name. The bank messed up. No, the bank didn't mess up. Someone uploaded scanned documents using her social security number, her tax ID, and a forged signature identical to the others. She turned the pages toward me, and there it was. My name, my birthday, my address, my information. All used like I was a mask someone slipped on. Daniel pointed at the papers, voice cracking. Emily, did you do this? Did you use Mom's identity again without telling me? Emily snapped. Are you kidding me? You told me your mom would never check her account. You said she barely used the tech. You said... Agent Reynolds slammed her pen down. Both of them jumped. This isn't a couple's argument, she said flatly. This is identity theft on felony scowl. Daniel's face crumpled. Emily's fury turned into full-blown panic. I just stood there, staring at the documents, feeling like I left my body and was watching everything from across the room. My baby boy, my only child, dragged me into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt and didn't even blink. Emily broke first. She snapped at Daniel. You said we'd pay it back. You said my mom would need the money for anyway. You said she'd be dead before the loans came due. The world stopped. Every breath in the room died at once. Daniel turned white. He never said that. But the look on Emily's face said she wasn't lying. She was repeating something whispered and quiet, comfortable cruelty. My heart cracked, but not the soft, fragile kind of crack. No, something inside me hardened. Agent Reynolds exhaled slowly. Mrs. Muller, based on what we've uncovered, these crimes are committed over several years and across multiple institutions. You didn't just get stolen from. You were systematically targeted by my own son and his wife. Agent Reynolds continued, I need to ask you something difficult. I forced myself to look at her. Do you wish to press full charges? Daniel dropped to his knees, literally crashed onto my carpet, reaching for my hand. Mom, please don't do this. I'll fix it. I'll pay you back, I swear. Emily stepped back like she was distancing herself from her sinking ship, but it was too late for both of them. My heart wasn't confused anymore. My choice had made it the moment I realized the truth. They never loved me. They loved what I could give them. And I wasn't going to be their victim anymore. I lifted my chin, opened my mouth, and answered. But before I could finish my sentence, an unexpected person stormed into the world. Someone who wasn't supposed to be there. And what they revealed turned everything upside down. One final time.
I opened my mouth to answer Agent Reynolds, to finally decide whether I was pressing charges, when the front door suddenly burst open so hard it slammed into the wall. All three of us jumped. Standing in the doorway, breathless, sweating, and red-faced, was Mark Thompson, my late husband John's closest friend, a man I hadn't seen in months. Tall, broad-shouldered, the type who looks like he could bench press a refrigerator even in his 60s. "Anne," he gasped, "don't say anything yet." Daniel froze mid-plea on the carpet. Emily's mouth fell open. Agent Reynolds put a hand on her holster, not drawing, just ready. "Sir, who are you?" Mark held up his hands. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here because Anne doesn't know everything, and she needs to know before she makes a decision." I stared at him, stunned. "Mark, what are you talking about?" He ran a shaky hand through his hair. "I should have told you sooner. I didn't know how. I didn't want to dig up things you buried years ago. But now you have to hear the truth." Agent Reynolds narrowed her eyes. "Sir, unless you have direct information about these financial crimes—" "Oh, I do," he said quickly. "More than you think." Daniel shot up from his knees. "What the hell does he have to do with this?" Emily muttered under her breath, "You have got to be kidding me." But Mark didn't look at them, not once. His eyes were locked on mine, filled with something I wasn't ready to name. Sorrow. "Anne," he said quietly, "those accounts under your name, the first one wasn't opened by Daniel or Emily." My pulse stopped, just stopped. Agent Reynolds turned sharply. "Explain." Mark took a deep breath. "The first fake account, the one from 3 years ago, it was opened by John." My heart slammed against my ribs. "No, John would never." "I know how it sounds," Mark said gently, "but he wasn't stealing from you. He wasn't setting you up. He wasn't doing anything malicious. He was trying to protect you." I shook my head. "Protect me from what? John passed away." Mark cut me off with a trembling voice. "He knew he was sick, Anne, long before you did. He kept it quiet because he didn't want you to worry." The room spun. "John? Sick? And I never knew?" Mark's eyes softened. "He opened that account to separate money to make sure you'd be taken care of. He moved funds into it without telling you. He forged your signature only to keep the account confidential. He planned to tell you right before he passed, but he didn't get the chance." I felt like a crack ran straight down my soul. Agent Reynolds frowned, but that account was later accessed by Daniel. Mark said bitterly. "After John died, Daniel found some of the documents. Not all of them, just enough to figure out the account existed. He didn't know what it's for. He just knew there was money and that it wasn't monitored." Emily hissed at Daniel. "You idiot! You didn't tell me any of that." Daniel looked shattered. I thought it was just some old savings account Mom forgot about." "No," Mark said quietly. "It was your father's last gift to her." Silence swallowed the room whole. My breath trembled. Why didn't you tell me, Mark?" "Because I promised John I wouldn't say a word unless I had no choice. And watching you get robbed, watching you get manipulated, I couldn't stay quiet anymore." Emily threw her hands up. "So what? Some of the money wasn't his to steal. That doesn't change anything." "Oh, it changes everything," Agent Reynolds said. Eyes cold as ice. Daniel sat down on the couch like his legs gave out. "Dad left that for you, and I
I took from it. Margaret's voice cracked. You didn't just steal from her. You stole from your father's dying wish. That one sentence broke whatever was left of the room's oxygen. Daniel covered his face. Emily rolled her eyes, muttering, "Oh, please." The engine runner raised her hand. "Mrs. Miller, you're about to give your answer. And now that you know everything, the question remains." She looked straight at me. "Do you wish to press full charges?" The whole room waited for my decision. Mark, Daniel, Emily, Ancient Ranner, everyone holding their breath. But before I could speak, my phone buzzed on the table. A simple text from an unknown number. Only 3 words. He knew everything. I stared at it, heart hammering. Who sent that? What did it mean? And who was he? But when I read the next message that came in 5 seconds later, I realized this story wasn't just about theft anymore. It was about a segment even deeper, darker, and older than all of us.
The room was dead silent, the kind of silent that feels heavy, like gravity suddenly doubled. My phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. Same cold chill growling up my spine. The second message flashed on screen. Check the safe. I blinked. Once? Twice? The safe? I hadn't opened that thing in years, not since John passed away. It was tucked behind a false panel in my bedroom closet. Only he and I knew about it. Or so I thought. Mark stepped closer. "Anne, what's wrong? What did it say?" I lifted the phone to show him. His eyes widened, not in confusion, but recognition. Like he knew exactly what those words meant. "Anne," he said carefully, voice dropping, "maybe you should check." Emily scoffed. "Oh, please, we're in the middle of something serious, and she's chasing mystery texts?" Agent Reynolds shot her a glare that could have melted steel. "Ma'am, unless you want to be removed from the premises, I suggest you stay quiet." Emily clamped her mouth shut. For once, I turned to Daniel, whose face was buried in his hands, and whispered, "Did you send this?" He shook his head violently. "No, I swear. I don't even know what safe you're talking about." Mark cleared his throat. "Anne, I think John wanted you to know something he never got the chance to say." My heart thudded painfully. Agent Reynolds nodded. "Mrs. Miller, we can pause the questioning. If there's evidence your late husband left behind, it could be relevant." So we all moved down the hallway, me leading, Agent Reynolds close, Daniel trailing behind like a broken shadow, Emily stomping like she owned the place, and Mark, quiet, tense, almost shaking. I pushed open the closet door and moved the clothes aside. My fingertips slid over the back wall until I found the notch, small, almost invisible, and pressed. The false panel snapped open. The safe sat there untouched, gray, dusty, cold. I entered the code. A code I hadn't spoken out loud since the day John whispered it into my ear. The lock clicked. Light flickered inside the safe. I swallowed hard and opened it. There were 3 things inside. An old leather notebook, a sealed brown envelope,
and a USB drive labeled "For Anne, only if needed." My breath caught. Agent Reynolds leaned in. "Mrs. Miller, may I?" I nodded numbly. She put on gloves, lifted the notebook, and handed it to me. It was John's handwriting. Familiar. Clean. Steady. I opened the first page. It began with, "If you're reading this, Annie, something went wrong." My chest tightened so hard it hurt. I kept reading, page after page of John's handwriting. Not love letters, not journal entries, notes, dates, observations, almost like he'd been tracking something. And then a sentence that punched the air out of my lungs. "I believe someone has been accessing Anne's financial information behind her back. If anything happens to me, she needs to know." My hand started shaking. Daniel staggered back. "Dad? Knew?" Emily's eyes darted around like a cornered animal. "This is ridiculous." But Agent Reynolds raised her hand. "Quiet." I kept reading. "Start with the transfers. They won't look big at first, just little drops, but they add up. And whoever's doing it, they're close. Too close." I felt sick. He suspected something before he died. Before I ever saw the warning signs. Mark whispered behind me. "John had told me he thought someone was using your information. He said he didn't know who yet, but he was tracking patterns." My throat felt like sandpaper. "Why didn't he tell me?" "He didn't want to scare you. He thought he could fix it quietly." Agent Reynolds carefully opened the round envelope. Inside were printed bank statements. John had circled suspicious transactions. He wrote notes, questions, names, and one name was circled 3 times. "Emily Preston." Emily stumbled backward like the floor had disappeared. Daniel stared at her horrified. "You knew my dad suspected you?" Emily snapped. "I didn't know he knew. I only thought he..." Agent Reynolds cut her off. "Enough." Then she plugged the USB drive into my laptop. A single video file popped up, titled, "If you're watching this, take it seriously." My heart almost stopped. John's face appeared on the screen, thinner, paler, tired, but still him, still my John. "Anne," he said softly, "if this ever reaches you, I'm sorry. I love you, but you need to listen very carefully." Everyone in the room froze. Don continued, "I didn't want you to worry, but someone around you is not who they pretend to be. Someone has already taken money. Someone is planning more." His eyes looked straight into mine through the screen. "Trust your instincts and trust Mark. He knows everything." Mark exhaled shakily, wiping his eyes. But then John said something that made my blood turn to ice. "And Anne, the worst part is, it's not who you think." The video froze for a moment, then continued with a name that none of us expected. a name that flipped the entire investigation upside down and changed everything we thought we knew.
The video flickered, the audio crackled, and then John's voice came through one last time. Fragile, tired, the dead serious. He looked straight into the camera, eyes dark with something I had never seen in him before. Fear. "Anne," he whispered, "the person stealing from you, the one who started this, it's not Emily." The room froze. Emily's jaw dropped. "Hold on." But the video continued. "It's not Daniel either." Daniel's eyes went wide. "Dad, what?" John leaned closer to the camera. "It's someone who had access to your documents long before Emily came around. Someone who came into our home often. Someone we trusted." A hush swept over the room. My heartbeat felt like thunder. I saw the patterns, the withdrawals, the forged slips, the matching signatures. When I checked the login locations, one address came up repeatedly. He took a slow breath. An address connected to Mark. My world shattered. The air left my lungs, my hands went numb, my vision blurred around the edges. Mark Townsend, John's best friend, the man who just barged into my house claiming he wanted to protect me, the man standing only a few feet behind me. Dahlia's mouth fell open. Emily's eyes darted like she was calculating an escape route. Agent Reynolds stiffened like her training kicked in instantly. I turned around slowly. Mark didn't look shocked, not even a little. His shoulders slumped, his eyes glistening, not from guilt, but from something heavier, resignation. "Anne, let me explain," he whispered. "No," I said, no, this can't be real." But John's voice came again, cutting through the room like a blade. "Anne, if Mark is there right now, do not let him manipulate you. He will lie. He will twist things. He has been doing this for years." My knees buckled and I caught myself on the edge of the dresser. Agent Reynolds stepped forward sharply. "Mr. Thompson, don't move." He lifted his hand slowly. "I'm not a danger. I'm not here to hurt anyone, but I need her to hear the truth." I stared at him, my whole body trembling. You stole from me." Mark exhaled deeply, like he had been waiting years for this moment. "I never meant to hurt you," he said quietly. "At first, I did it because John asked me." My stomach twisted. "Don't you dare blame him. He knew he didn't have long. He told me to separate some money to protect you from Daniel's spending, from Emily's influence. He asked me to help hide the account. But then John died." Agent Reynolds cut in. "Yes, and I kept helping myself to the funds." There it was. The truth. Raw, ugly. I know. Mark looked at the floor. I got in deep. Debt, medical bills, then things escalated. At once I started, I couldn't stop. And when Daniel found some of the account info, it all spiraled. It didn't think it would go this far. I felt sick. You watched Daniel and Emily get blamed. You watched Nate suffer and you said nothing? "I was gonna tell you," he said desperately, "tonight, before you decided anything." Agent Reynolds stepped forward sharply. "Mr. Thompson, don't move." He didn't resist. She handcuffed him gently, processionally, but
The sound of needle clicking shut felt like a nail sealing a coffin. As she read him his rights, Mark looked over his shoulder at me one last time. I loved John like a brother, and I loved you too, Anne. I was weak. I was stupid. I failed you both. Tears burned my eyes, but they didn't fall. Not this time. As Mark was escorted out, Daniel collapsed onto the couch sobbing, not because he was innocent, but because he finally saw the monster he'd become in the reflection of Mark's greed. Emily grabbed her purse and stormed out without a word, heels stamping on the floor like she was angry the universe didn't bend for her. Agent Reynolds sat beside me. Voice soft. Mrs. Miller. What Mark did is the primary crime, but Daniel and Emily still face charges for their part. Forging signatures, opening accounts, lying to financial institutions. And not as slowly. But I felt nothing. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after a tornado passes through and leaves nothing where the house used to be. Do you want to proceed with full charges for everyone involved? She asked gently. And for the first time in years, I didn't hesitate. Yes, I said. Every single one of them. Agent Reynolds nodded respectfully. We'll take it from here. When they all left, the officers, the chaos, the storm, I sat alone in my living room. A widow, a mother, a woman betrayed by nearly everyone she trusted, but not broken, never broken. John's notebook said in my lab, his final gift, his final warning, his final love, wrapped in ink and fear and devotion. I opened it one last time. On the final page, he had it written, Annie, remember who you are. You survived wars. You always rise. And for the first time in a long time, I believed him. Thank you for staying with us through this emotional journey. If this story hit your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe. You won't want to miss the next one. And tell us in the comments,